The 2016 NBA draft is over, and I have my grades for you guys. You're watching James Carter TV.
Yeah, looking like a trouble when I walked in the building. That mean I got something expensive. Know my friends, they killing. All these hoes I'm killing.
Hello and welcome to James Carter TV. The 2016 NBA draft is over, and it's time for me to grade each and every pick of the first round. No, I will not do the second round because pretty much outside of the first 10 picks, I don't know who anyone is, and that's fine. I don't need to know who everyone is because, as I've said multiple times on this channel, the second round is pretty much meaningless. Now, yes, you can tell me that Draymond Green and Isaiah Thomas and Jimmy Butler, actually Jimmy Butler was in the first round, but, you know, a bunch of players were drafted in the second round, and you're right, but there were so many others that weren't drafted in the second round and were absolutely horrible that were drafted in the second round. Like, usually out of the 30 picks, maybe 2 will be good, maybe 1 will be great, and then that's pretty much it. Maybe 3 or 4 can even play some minutes whatsoever. So there's just no point. Sorry, I'm not doing it. So with that said, let's get into the first round grades. All of these grades can be found in the description box below. I'm going to be blazing through them so fast you won't be able to believe it. First of all, let me tell you this. I'm a pretty generous grader. My philosophy is this, and by the way, I think more people should have this philosophy. If you say to yourself, if I was this team, what would I do? And whatever you would have done matches up with what they did, how else could you give them anything else but an A? Because they have to be able to get an A. Like, for example, the Sixers took Ben Simmons, right? I wouldn't have done that. Actually, let's move on to what I would have done. Okay, so the Lakers took Brandon Ingram, right? That's the only pick I would have made. So I'm giving them an A. Why? Because that's the only thing I would have done. Some people, I see them giving like a B or a B+. Well, what did you want them to do? Take Brandon Ingram. So they took Brandon Ingram. Oh, but it's a B+. Why? That's what you wanted them to do. So if you did what I wanted you to do, you get an A. And someone also commented before on my NFL draft grades that these grades match up with your opinions on the players. Duh. I mean, hello, duh. Wouldn't your grades match up with your thoughts on the players? That's what we're talking about here. I'm projecting. I have my big board. If you take players that match up with my big board, you're going to get credited for that because I think they're good players. That's how this works. So if you're not going to like me having my opinions based upon what I believe, then that doesn't make any sense and you're watching the wrong person today. Let's get into the grades. Sixers take Ben Simmons. You get an A-. Only reason it's not an A+ or an A is because I think Brandon Ingram will be the better player over time, but I'm not going to discredit you too much for taking Ben Simmons because I do believe he will be a perennial all-star at the next level. I've been consistent saying that, but I just think Brandon Ingram is going to work a little bit harder, be a little more versatile, be a little better than Ben Simmons. Lakers take Brandon Ingram. They get an A. That's the only pick you could have made. I think he's going to be a perennial all-star for that basketball team. I think he's going to be better than D'Angelo Russell. I think he's going to be better than Julius Randle. He will be the best player on the Lakers probably in 3 years. First year, probably only average 15. Oh, and by the way, let me say this right now. Don't you dare come back to this video. When Ben Simmons wins Rookie of the Year, don't you dare come back to this video. I'll tell you right now. Ben Simmons is winning Rookie of the Year. Ben Simmons is going to average 19 points per game, while Brandon Ingram averages 14 or 15. You're damn right. But what's going to happen is Ingram's going to keep going up, 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 and Ben Simmons is going to hit a stall point because his game isn't versatile enough offensively to go to the 25-plus range to me. So I think he's going to max out at maybe 23 points per game, while Brandon Ingram has the scoring potential to get to 24, 25, 26, and be a big-time scorer in this league. And also be a big-time defender because he's so long in terms of also covering and defending multiple positions at the next level. So don't come back to this video and tell me, oh, you were wrong. No, I was right. You just wait and see. Give me time on this. We move on to the Boston Celtics, who took Jaylen Brown out of California. Now, I had them taking Kris Dunn out of Providence, but they took Jaylen Brown. By the way, in my mock drafts, I had 5 picks correct out of the 30. Not great, but not bad. That's about par for the course. I'll take that. I heard it was either going to be Kris Dunn or Jaylen Brown. I mocked Kris Dunn. It was Jaylen Brown. What are you going to do? I wasn't going to go out on a limb here. I just wasn't going to do it, so I'm not killing myself. But for this pick, I mean, I think Jaylen Brown's going to be a decent player. I just don't think he's going to be an all-star, and I think they're going to regret taking Jaylen Brown, to be honest with you. Yes, he made threes during the workout, but man, he was awful this year. And when actually playing in terms of shooting the ball, he was awful. He was terrible shooting the ball this year for California. And I just think that's really going to hinder his performance at the next level. But I think he's going to be a decent player. I definitely think he's going to be a decent player and a decent starter for them. I give them a B. We move on to the Phoenix Suns. They take Dragan Bender out of Maccabi Tel Aviv. I had them taking Marquese Kris, but I wish that they would have taken Dragan Bender, and they took Dragan Bender. Good, you get an A for that. There's nothing else you could have done, because even though Dragan Bender is only my 7th or 8th rated player, I do believe you should take him over Buddy Hield or Jamal Murray, because you have too many guards. You have too much. Although the one player I would have taken would probably have been Jakob Poeltl. So actually, I'm going to give you guys an A- because I think Jakob Poeltl, I'm big on Jakob Poeltl. I think right now you're starting Alex Len and Tyson Chandler. I think Jakob Poeltl could probably have come in there and been better for you. But Dragan Bender, you're getting an A- for that, because it's still a good pick. We move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who take point guard Kris Dunn. There's an A+, the rare A+, where not only did you do what I thought you should have done, but you also got lucky. And it's kind of messed up that I give people A's and I give other people A+ just because they're a little bit lucky, but that's the way it works over here. So the Timberwolves get Kris Dunn, the perfect pick. If you were going to say what's the perfect player for the Timberwolves to get heading into this draft, I would have told you Kris Dunn. I've never been a big Ricky Rubio fan. Yes, he can get a lot of assists, but that is it. He's not great a defender. He can steal a pass every now and then, but not a great on-ball or off-ball defender. Not a great scorer. Now you have someone that is a great defender and is a good scorer. It's a perfect match. Kris Dunn's going to be great for the Timberwolves. Go ahead and slot the Minnesota Timberwolves for an NBA championship in 4 to 5 years, because that's where they're headed. As long as Andrew Wiggins can finally start hitting the weight room and starting to be a little more willing to get rebounds and assists, because right now his rebound and assist stats are horrible, and his blocks and steals could be upped a little bit as well. Stop being lazy, boy. We move on to New Orleans Pelicans. Take Buddy Hield. Great pick. He gets an A from me. Nothing else you could have done. He was a 4th player on my board. You take him at 6. You match him up with Anthony Davis. Great combo. He's going to average 19 points per game, probably maybe even 20 in about 4 to 5 years. He's going to be a good number 2. If you want to win an NBA championship, though, he should be your number 3. So just start looking out for that in the future, but for now it's a good pairing. We move on to the Denver Nuggets, who take Jamal Murray. I did not expect this, only because first of all I didn't expect for him to fall this far, and then second of all I thought they liked Gary Harris, but I guess they don't like him as much as I thought they did. But when we look at what they could have done, there's nothing else, because I do like Jakob Poeltl and he's still on the board, but you look at Nikola Jokic, who they have over there, and also Jusuf Nurkic. You know, those guys, their names are so similar, damn it. But anyway, yeah, you have those guys as centers, so you can't take another center, especially with a weird name. I mean, that's enough centers with weird names, for God's sake. So now you get to take a guard, and Jamal Murray can play point, can play shooting guard. I think he and Mudiay, you have Mudiay who can't shoot, and now you have Murray, who that's pretty much all he does. Good combination there. You get an A from me. Nothing else I would have done. We move on to the Phoenix Suns, who take Marquese Kris. So yay, they didn't take Marquese Kris at number 4. They traded with the Suns and they take him at number 8. Damn it. I'm not a big Marquese Kris fan. I had him ranked 16th on my big board. I was happy to see him fall because I didn't want anyone to bite on this nonsense that he's good. And now the Suns bit on this nonsense that he's good. Guys, he's not good. He's athletic. You wish he could become Blake Griffin, but I just don't see that. The upside is there, but his basketball awareness is poor at this stage. He needs to develop. He's not a good rebounder. The Suns need rebounding. So I don't like also double dipping at the power forward position. Now, yes, you could say Marquese Kris could play center. Yeah, but Dragan Bender, he can't play center, so forget about that. If you're trying to have a conversation about that, I'm not listening to you. So anyway, Marquese Kris could play center, but man, I don't like that fit at all. I don't like the pick. I don't like the fit. It gets a C- from me. We move on to the Toronto Raptors. They take Jakob Poeltl, I believe, 5th rated player, and it's going to be a great pick for them. I think he's going to vault and surpass Jonas Valanciunas within the near future, become the starting center for the Raptors, and be a damn good one, a damn good pairing with him and Kyle Lowry if he stays, and he should. So I'm really interested. I love the pick. You get an A. And actually, he was pretty close to being an A+, but you only get an A. We move on to the Milwaukee Bucks, who take power forward Thon Maker out of Canada, and I hate the pick. Now, yes, the Bucks took Giannis Antetokounmpo a couple years ago, and they absolutely hit the gold mine. He's been better than anyone thought he was going to be, but man, this is another huge reach, and I hate it. I think his basketball IQ is horrible. I think he's not a good basketball player, mainly because it's so new to him, but everyone thinks they can teach Africans how to play, but then some of them, they try to learn how to play and they can't play because they've been too busy throwing sticks and stones on the other side of the world, and now they get a good basketball in their hand and they just don't do a very good job. And to me, that's Thon Maker. So yes, you like the size, and yes, you like the athleticism for that size, but he just can't play basketball, man. I think that's a big problem with me. Maybe he should move on to something else. I don't think basketball is for him, so I hate the pick. And he has a lot of upside, so I give it a D+. But man, it's a D+. All right, we move on to the Orlando Magic. Actually, no, this was traded. So it was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who took Domantas Sabonis out of Gonzaga in a big trade in which the Thunder, I'm going to make a whole separate video on this, so stay tuned for that, in which the Thunder traded Serge Ibaka for Ersan Ilyasova, the 11th pick, and Victor Oladipo, and I'm going to make a whole video on this, as I just said. Now, in terms of the Thunder taking Domantas Sabonis here, because I'm not sure if they told the Magic to take him or the Magic took him and then they traded him, but either way, I really like it. First of all, Domantas Sabonis, I'm a big fan of him. I think he was number 10 on my big board, so I'd like to see him go here at number 11. Only problem is, the Thunder are now setting themselves up for big rim protection issues. Steven Adams averaged about 1.1 blocks per game, and Domantas Sabonis averaged about maybe like 1.1 points per game as well, or 1.1 blocks per game, I should say. So with that in mind, where is the rim protection going to be? And Enes Kanter is a good shot blocker either. And you're going to go up against the San Antonio Spurs in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge and Tony Parker. They're going to be going in the lane. They're going to be giving you huge troubles at the rim, and they don't have anyone to protect the rim. And I love Victor Oladipo, but I question that rim protection part of it. I think Deontay Davis would have been a better fit here, but I still like the pick because I like Domantas Sabonis, so I give them a B+. But the rim protection really concerns me. We move on to the Atlanta Hawks, who take Taurean Prince out of Baylor. I knew Taurean Prince was going to go higher than a lot of people were expecting. This was higher than even I was expecting, because I am going 16, and he was ranked about 16th on my big board. You look at Taurean Prince, I like his 3 and D potential, I like his upside, I like his motor. In terms of motor, I think he has almost damn near the best motor in this draft. A guy that works hard, can be a great leader, great character for your basketball team. They needed a void here at small forward since your boy Damari Carroll left out of the door. They got a good player here. I give it a B+, only because it's a little bit of a reach, but I like the pick. We move on to the Sacramento Kings, who continue to be the worst team in the NBA at drafting. Outside of DeMarcus Cousins, these guys don't know how to draft. Willie Cauley-Stein was a good pick, but a low upside pick, and he's exactly the player everyone thought he was going to be. He's Tyson Chandler. He's never going to get over 15 points per game, and he's going to be a good defender, a good rebounder, but that is it. So with that in mind, who do they take? Another center in Georgios Papagiannis out of Greece. Horrible pick. We're talking about a second rounder, a guy that's 7'2", 260 pounds, nice and nimble for his size. He has a little bit of an outside shot, but his defense is awful. He's not a very good, in terms of basketball IQ, it's not well developed. He didn't really play well whenever he got to face USA competition. And I had this guy pegged as a second rounder, and they take him with the 13th pick in the draft. The Kings still don't know what they're doing, and DeMarcus Cousins of the Kings agrees as he tweets after the Kings took Papagiannis. He tweets, "Lord, give me strength." And I agree, my friend, because, man, I mean, how do these guys, and we're just getting started, because this is only their first pick that they had in this first round, and, man, it's about to get worse. So, it's a D. I mean, it's a D. I don't know what they're thinking. You already have DeMarcus Cousins. You already have Willie Cauley-Stein. And now you take a second-round talent center. I don't get it. All right, so we move on to the 14th pick. Bulls take shooting guard Denzel Valentine out of Michigan State. Let me make a public apology right now. So I made my mock drafts this morning at 5 a.m. I uploaded it and scheduled it to be published at 9 a.m. and I went to sleep. I woke up, I had to go right out of the door at about 3 o'clock, and I didn't come back until the draft started. I came back, I realized I didn't have Denzel Valentine going in the first round of my mock draft. Huge mistake on my part. No, I did think he was a first rounder. I just forgot about him. I don't know when I was typing up my mock draft. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Anyway, I thought this was a little bit of a reach. I had him ranked about 18, but the Bulls need players. Oh, dear God, do they need players. And I think he's going to be able to do a lot for them, be a low-end starting shooting guard / small forward for them, and we'll see what he can do. You know, I'm not a big fan like some people are. I think he's horrible defensively, but offensively, he offers you a lot. So I give them a B. Not bad, not great either. We move on to the Denver Nuggets, who take Juan Hernan Gomez out of Estudiantes. Well, that's the last team he played for, and I don't like the pick. So he's a guy that's 6'9", 220, can leak out, can hit some shots from the outside, also a pretty good passer, but I think his defense is pretty horrible at this point, and the Denver Nuggets could use a little bit of help on that end. They have Moutier out there, who's a great defender, yes, but then that's pretty much it. Kevin Fareed also decent as well, and then the bigs in the middle are okay, but I thought they could have went with someone with a little more, that could offer a little more defense, a little more 3-and-D, like a DeAndre Bembry or a Malik Beasley, who they actually took later on. So that's funny that I say that. But anyway, Juan Hernan Gomez, I'm not in love with the pick. I thought he was a late 20 guy, mid-20s. He gets taken at 15. Don't love that. I give them a C. We move on to the Boston Celtics. They took Guerschon Yabusele out of France. And let me tell you, what a horrible pick. I mean, another second-round talent. I don't know why these international players are going higher at this point in the draft than these homegrown talents. I couldn't believe what I was watching. When we started with Thon, Maker, and then we went to Georgios, and we went to Juan, and then we went to Guerschon, I was like, are you people nuts? You people are more willing to take these clowns than guys like Henry Ellenson, who we know can play, Deontay Davis, who we know can play, guys like Malik Beasley, DeAndre Bembry, guys that have been in this country and playing well. I have nothing wrong with international players, but there's a huge risk when it comes to international players. Like a huge risk, and you're more willing to take these guys than guys like that we can know and trust a little more. I don't get it. And I don't like this pick at all because he's not very good. He's 6'8", 260. I mean, that puts him in a very limited range in terms of what he can defend at the NBA, in terms of what he can do. Is not very nimble at all. I don't think he's going to be a good fit for this team. They already have a 6'9" center in Jared Sullinger. Now you have a 6'8" power forward in Guerschon Yabusele, who may have to move to center in the future. I don't love it at all, man. I give it a D. Yikes. We move on to the Memphis Grizzlies, who take point guard / shooting guard Wade Baldwin IV out of Vanderbilt University. My fellow Commodore, well, he was, and then he decided to go to the draft. But that's fine, because you're allowed to do that, and I wish him well in the future. We move on, though. So I like him, right? I had him ranked about 13th on my big board. I really wish they would have taken Demetrius Jackson, but Wade Baldwin would be a good, decent point guard for them. I give them an A-. I mean, he's a rangy guy that can hit the three, probably going to be a good defender for them. I don't know if they're still going to be a defensive team in the future. Who knows? But if they are, I like that. So I give them an A-. All right, we move on to the Detroit Pistons, who take power forward Henry Ellenson out of Marquette. Love the pick. You have Andre Drummond, the defensive rebounding stud, down low at center. And now you take a scoring power forward in Henry Ellenson and also another rebounder, so they're going to dominate the glass. You have Reggie Jackson. Hopefully Stanley Johnson can develop, and I think he will. I had him pegged as an above-average starter in last year's draft. I think he still has the potential to be that. Next year, find you a shooting guard, and we got something here. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Kentavious Caldwell-Pope fan. I'm sorry. But anyway, so I think this is a great pick here, though. Again, the Pistons will be in the playoffs. I think this pick, it's going to be a really good pick for them. They get an A. Nothing else I would have done. All right, we move on to the Denver Nuggets, who take shooting guard Malik Beasley out of Florida State. I really like the pick. My only question is, you know, the backcourt is getting a little crowded. You had Emmanuel Mudiay, you drafted Jamal Murray, and now you have essentially a sixth man candidate in Malik Beasley. And I think he's going to be a damn good sixth man. But, you know, you could use starters. You know, I think Kenneth Faried has run out his time as a starting power forward in this league, and you need to look elsewhere to see what kind of upside we could get. Probably take Deontay Davis. If I were you, that's probably what I would have done. But you take Malik Beasley, and I like him. So for that, I give you an A-. We move on to the Atlanta Hawks, who take shooting guard / small forward DeAndre Bembry out of St. Joseph's. Good. I had him ranked 17th on my big board. I thought a lot of people were sleeping on him, and he went higher than even I was expecting. He went to 21. I love the pick. Hawks, again, getting a good outside guy, a guy that's a wing player that they need. You know, Taurean Prince, you know, he offers a lot of the similar things that Bembry offers. But hey, you know, you can never have too little or too few 3-and-D guys at the next level. So it gets a little bit downgraded, though, because I would have liked to see them take a big. I mean, you're losing Al Horford. You're losing Paul Millsap the year after this. And you should take a big. But I like Bembry. So you get an A-, but you should have taken a big. All right, we move on to 22, Charlotte Hornets, who take Malachi Richardson out of Syracuse. I had this pick in probably 3 of my 4 mock drafts, and then the last one I decided to change. I don't know why, but anyway, I don't love it. I'm not a big Malachi Richardson fan. The guy shot 37% field goal percentage this season. That's absolutely god-awful. I mean, you shouldn't be able to be drafted with that kind of field goal percentage to me. I mean, all he does is jab right and drive left, or jab right, step back left, shoot a 3. That's all he does, nothing else. So I question that. I have big problems with that for me. And I think he'll be a borderline bench warmer. Maybe can come in, contribute here and there, but I mean, nothing consistent. I give it a C because they need more. I mean, they need a lot more. All right, we move on to the Boston Celtics, who take Ante Zizic out of Croatia, and I had this in my mock draft, one of the 5 picks that I had. Yes. We also, I forgot to mention, 11, I had Domantas Sabonis going 11th. Even though he went to the Thunder, hey, that's still a win for me. So get over that. That's a win for me. All right, we move on. So, Ante Zizic, you know, I think he's going to be an okay guy at the next level. Potential low-end starter at center. Never going to be great. I give it a B. And Celtics fans were pissed. I mean, they were so pissed because they expected more out of this draft. They expected Danny Ainge to do better. Now, the Gershon Yabusele pick was horrible. I agree with that. But this pick was fine. It was pretty good. I don't know who told you guys. I try to tell you guys. I actually go back to I think it was either my mock draft or my scouting reports. One of those. I said, why are Celtics fans happy that they have so many picks? Honestly, why are you guys happy? You do realize this is the NBA draft, right? This is not the NFL draft. If you have a lot of picks in the NFL draft, congratulations. This is the NBA draft where a second-round pick is equivalent to a sixth-round pick in the NFL. Who cares? Yeah, maybe you could pick a great player. You have about a 3% chance. So are you really excited about that? Why are you excited about that? Why, even in the teens, you probably only have I would say a 30% chance to even get someone who will be on your team in 5 years. So I don't know why the Celtics fans were so excited and now they're disappointed in their draft. This is a fine pick. I think he'll be on your team in 3 to 4 years. Gershon, no way. And Jaylen Brown, yeah, but he will be a little bit of a disappointment. But it's your fault for looking forward to the draft. It was never about the draft to me. You guys need to get a damn superstar. Stop worrying about the damn draft. You're already good enough to be whatever seed you were in the playoffs. The draft isn't going to help you go further. You got to get some veterans in there. That's the problem with you guys right now. We move on. Philadelphia 76ers take Timothé Luwawu out of Megalex, and I had him 24th on my big board. He went 24th, and to which I say good, because I think he's a rangy guy, right? A guy that has some nice athleticism, but he needs to develop his three-point shot and also his basketball IQ a little bit. So I had him down a little bit, but this is a value. This is the perfect value. I give them an A-. I would have picked other people, like I probably would have picked Demetrius Jackson out of Notre Dame, or maybe even a Tyler Ulis, who would be a really good fit for them. They need three-point shooting on the outside. They took Furkan Korkmaz. I would have took him, but they ended up taking him anyway, so they won't be, taken down for that. So there are other picks I would have made, but it's still a good pick. Definitely a good pick for this range. 25. Oh, actually, I messed up. I forgot. Oh, I'm sorry, Brooklyn Nets fans. Number 20, I forgot you guys. You guys took shooting guard Caris LeVert. That completely slipped. So, Caris LeVert goes 20 to the Brooklyn Nets via the Indiana Pacers. And I like this pick. I had Caris LeVert, guess where? 20th on my big board. He goes 20th here. Maybe I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so he goes 20th here, and as long as he can stay healthy, he'll be a good starter for you guys. I like Bembry more. I like some other guys more that you could have taken, but this is still a really good pick. I give you guys an A-. Okay, now we move on to 25. The Clippers take Bryce Johnson, power forward Bryce Johnson out of UNC. I think he's the sleeper of this draft. I think if he can find minutes behind Blake Griffin, he'll really be a really nice energy big man off of the bench. They get an A, the Clippers do, for taking Bryce Johnson. I think it's an incredible pick. In fact, hell, let's give them an A+ for it. It's just that good. We move on to 26. The Sixers take Furkan Korkmaz, and I say good. Yeah, Ben Simmons, who likes being around shooters. You get to take a shooter here in Furkan Korkmaz. Are you Furkan Korkmazing me? Because I think I am. Anyway, he's going to be able to be a good shooter. The question is his defense. He needs to improve. His frame is horrible. He looks like a 12-year-old. I mean, honestly, he has no muscle on his body whatsoever. I mean, looks ridiculous. So if he can build on that and hopefully develop some muscles and whatnot, he could be a really good six-man for you. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter. Maybe in six-man's a stretch, but a nice contributor off the bench. We move on to Toronto Raptors, who take Pascal Siakam out of New Mexico State. I think this guy's an absolute sleeper, and I think they could have found a potential starter here at 27. He was on my big board because I didn't have enough time to research him, but I have now, and let me tell you, man, I really liked this guy. I really liked statistically what he did in college for New Mexico State. I like his measurables. I like him a lot. They get an A for taking Pascal Siakam. We move on to the Sacramento Kings, who take Skal Labissiere out of Kentucky. And man, here's the problem. Okay, Skal Labissiere, I was never a big fan. I had him ranked either 23rd. I think I had him ranked 23rd or 24th. No, definitely not 24th. Probably about either 23rd or 25th on my big board was Skal Labissiere. I was never a big fan. And it's nice to know the NBA agreed with me on this. Yay. Now, so he's a value. Okay, fine. He's a value. The problem is, this is a power forward / center, right? How many power forwards do you guys need? So you have DeMarcus Cousins, Willie Cauley-Stein, Skal Labissiere, and who did you draft at 13? Oh yeah, Georgios Papagiannis. Are you guys kidding me? I mean, are you going to continue to neglect your backcourt? For how long? I mean, how many more decades Do we have to go to where you guys don't draft anybody on your damn backcourt? You guys haven't had a good backcourt player since Jason Williams. I mean, Isaiah Thomas was good for a couple years, but that's it. Like, I don't get the Kings, man. I'll never get the Kings. I'll never understand them. Damn it. You guys get a C- because he's a value. But man, can y'all just get some sort of direction in the draft? Is that too much to ask for? Damn it. All right, we move on to the San Antonio Spurs, who take DeJounte Murray. I'm not a big DeJounte Murray fan. I think it's a big project. You know, the Spurs, everyone's going to love it because the Spurs took him. If the Lakers took him, no one would care. I mean, that's just the reality of the matter. I don't care where he goes to. I don't like him. So for that alone, I don't like the pick. Yeah, he's a guy that has some upside, but I think Tyler Ulis would have been a better option here. I give you guys a C+ because he has a lot of upside, but man, I don't think he's a very good player. And we finish with the Golden State Warriors, who take center Damian Jones out of Vanderbilt University. Another Vanderbilt Commodore went in the first round. You would think with all these first rounders we would have done anything this year, but you would be wrong. With that said, Festus Ezeli is out of there. That guy's about to get paid, so let's replace him with Festus Ezeli because they're very similar players. Except Damian Jones is much more athletic, but less of a motor. So that kind of sucks. But, you know, I think it'll be exactly what Festus Ezeli was, to be honest with you. Or probably worse. You get a B. So there you go. My first round grades, all of which can be found in the description box below. What do you think about the first round? I'm sure you're going to have problems with my grades, and that is fine. The biggest guys that went to the second round, Demetrius Jackson. This guy was 9th on my big board. I think he's a starter in the NBA. You cannot question this guy's finishing ability at the rim. Man, this guy can finish at the rim consistently. They keep questioning him. Fine. Watch as he tears you guys up in the NBA. Look out for him. Also, Ivica Zubac, who I know now went to the Lakers. The second round is actually going on right now. Also, Deontay Davis, who was ranked 11th on my big board. He ended up going to the Memphis Grizzlies. Really nice fit there. He'll take over for Zach Randolph in the future. I think those are the two guys, if anyone, that's going to be successful in this draft is Deontay Davis, in the second round of this draft, Deontay Davis and Demetrius Jackson. Look out for those guys in the future. And until next time, this has been James Carter TV, and I'm out.